joining us virtually in the third day of South Asian Regional Workshop for Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Horticulture 2022. Today also, we'll work together and share knowledge and insight and discuss challenges and opportunities in different sectors of horticulture in South and Southeast Asian region and provide feedback and suggestion during the discussion session to develop the comprehensive report. And I would also like to welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Punne Prasad Regmi sir, from Agriculture and Forest University for your gracious presence. Thank you, sir. Today also we have two technical sessions during our for this workshop, which is followed by the closing ceremony, and then we'll have the gathering with the refreshment. For the technical session, we'll be following the same guideline as we followed yesterday. In each technical session, we have 3 thematic presentations, and we allocate 15 minutes for each presentation. And I would like to request all the participants to finish their presentation within the allocated time. And we'll ring the bell at 12 minutes, and you have to finish your presentation within 3 minutes. And each technical session is led by the respective chairman. And we also request the rapporteurs from each technical session to collect feedback and suggestion for preparing the comprehensive report. Without further delay, we'll now continue our first technical session of today's workshop. And for this first session, I would like to request Dr. Rejual Karim from Bangladesh Agriculture University to chair this technical session. And I would like to request Dr. Karim to lead this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to today's session and overall technical session 6 of this workshop. So in this technical session, we have 3 important aspects: food safety and quality, organic farming, and pollination in horticultural crop production. So as mentioned before, each speaker will get 15 minutes time, and we will just alarm at 12, and then the speaker are requested to finish their presentation within 15 minutes. So first of all, I am requesting in this session Mr. Bhola Shrestha. He's the promoter of organic farming. So may I request you, Bhola Shrestha, to present your presentation, and he is going to talk on current status, constraints, opportunity, and way forward for the promoting of organic agriculture in South and Southeast Asia.
Thank you. Good morning and namaste to everyone. Respected chair and respected personnel present in the hall, and all my friends and colleagues. Again, very good morning to my presentation on organic agriculture in Southeast Asia. That is the title I am given. So this is not a new terminology. I think everything is continuously running in our life. However, to bring some points into the discussion, I'll be presenting some of my experiences and what is going on in our country and in Southeast Asian region. So first of all, the understanding of organic agriculture. Understanding at different level, what I hear is, yeah, I have not used chemical fertilizer and pesticides. So everything I produce is organic. Everyone now is selling their product with the name of organic. But organic agriculture, I think, does not confine to use of chemical fertilizer and pesticide, but it is beyond to ecosystem services and the justice to all living creatures of this universe. For example, hunting and fishing is similarly hydroponics are not considered as organic products, though they are not used chemical fertilizer and pesticides. I think with the time constraint, I did not think that there will be just 15 minutes. So this video, I think I cannot run the video. So to make the organic agriculture in a wider perspective, there is an international level organization that is the apex of the world community to handle the organic agriculture, that is termed as IFOAM, Organic International Federation of Organic Agriculture, Organic Internationals. And similarly, there are sub-regional branches of IFOAM, like IFOAM Asia, IFOAM Africa, IFOAM Europe. In an action level, organic agriculture in a country level, in our South Asian region, Bhutan has declared its country as an organic country, and they were expecting to convert or to transform the whole country into organic by 2020. Similarly, in India, Sikkim has already declared as an organic state, and there are more other states, the 12 states, which are preparing to transform the organic, to transfer into organic states in India. In case of Nepal, Jumla was declared as organic district in 2009, and their product of apple and beans were organic certified by Organic Certification Nepal, that is the national certification agency, and exported to different parts of the country. And now in 2019, Karnali province has also been declared as organic. I think it is preparing to transform whole Karnali province into organic province. In a global level, this is the status. In a global level, the distribution of organic agricultural land, we can see in this chart is, the highest percentage of the organic land is in Oceania, followed by which one? Europe, Latin America, and Asia. Similarly, organic, if we look into the growth pattern of organic agriculture production and marketing system, taking reference of 2000 to 2020, this is a very positive trend. The growth trend of organic agriculture is in a very positive trend. And if we look into the organic products in a South Asian region only, since this workshop is going means organizing for the South Asian region, this this agricultural land area, China has the highest area, followed by India, and Nepal has also almost 0.2%. This is the total land area with aquaculture, agricultural land, and wild collection. This whole table gives the statistical information. This is prepared by the IFOAM and FIBL. FIBL is the statistical collection institution of Sweden. IFOAM. If we since taking reference of the title of the workshop, this vegetable horticulture, I brought some information on vegetable and fruits only. So total area of organic fruits hectare by hectare is this much, and the in vegetable area in the South Asian region. And in our export wise, IFOM has presented this data. And export wise, this Ecuador has the highest amount of export to different parts of the world, and China is the second. This is the world rank. This is the world rank. Nepal stood in 90th position, and Bangladesh is following Nepal. So in the next phase, to follow looking into the opportunities of this organic agriculture, the whole country of Bhutan has declared as organic country, and that was actually, the organic agriculture has considered as a gross national happiness. Their slogan is, if we go into organic agriculture, there will be a gross national happiness. So during the Rio 20 summit in 2012, they declared to transform their whole country into organic state. So they have already established National Center for Organic Agriculture, NCOA, and Bhutan Agriculture and Food Regulatory Authority to regulate this organic agriculture system and organic certification system. So following the country, the Sikkim, I think this Pawan Samling is the well-known name, to transform whole Sikkim into organic. Their organic farming Sikkim has a strategy for sustaining ecosystem services and livelihoods. So their main focus is to the ecosystem services and whole livelihood of the creators. In India, organic state in Sikkim 2003 to 2014. Currently there are 12 states. It's Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Bihar, Karnataka, Odisha. These states are preparing to convert into organic states. In case of Nepal, we have organic agriculture production and processing guideline to prepare in 2009 and revised in 2010. Similarly, National Organic Agriculture Accreditation Body is there. The person of the body is the Executive Director of NAC, and the member secretary is now acting as by DG of Department of Agriculture. And there are other members representing private sector and different ministries. So this NOAAB has accredited 4 national certification agencies active in Nepal, but because of certain circumstances, they are not regularly updated annually. What's the membership here? Renewal process. So organic certification is the only organization which is renewed annually and active in the country. And organic certification Nepal is working in partnership with the Certification Alliance. The Certification Alliance is the alliance of 10 certification agencies from 10 different countries, and it is providing certification services to national level and international level in a cheaper and accessible rate. So the Nepal government has also prepared internal control system and participatory guarantee system guideline. Similarly, there are guidelines and manuals on organic certification, subsidy on organic certification cost. Likewise, the Karnali province has already not only preparing to transform the whole province into organic, but also has already prepared organic standard. They are waiting to get approved by the cabinet. Similarly, they are developing some model organic farms and also develop guidelines to develop model organic farms, and also developing a 15 years mission of organic agriculture, that is organic agriculture strategy. And organic agriculture research and development center, the master plan for organic agriculture development and research center has also been developed in collaboration with NARC. So let me go into the constraint. This organic agriculture has been discussed several times in several occasions, and we also tried from different angles to get the research done through the formal institutions like NARC. Some years back, we from our organization had also tried to collaborate with the NARC to do a formal research, but that remained with a limited action. So the constraint we feel is still very poor extension system, research and extension system. There is no alternative technologies. There are few technologies developed and few inputs developed, but the level of trust and level of quality is still to be reviewed, to be rethought. And the human resources, there are a number of colleges and universities, but it is very, I'm very sorry to say that organic agriculture itself, the course has not been intensively
We have
taught.
3 minutes to
Thank you.
let you.
Thank you. Intensively taught. Now the in Surkhet Western University, Midwestern University has developed a course curriculum, but it is still to implement. And youth migration, I think I don't have to say the statistical information of youth migration to different parts of the world. So there is no youth in the village, in the country, to work on organic agriculture, since this is the labor intensive technology. Because of the labor, that is human resources, this this part is lacking behind. So the unclear policy is still there. Jumla was declared in 2009 as organic district, but later PAMP, the government organization, introduced the high density apple with full chemical fertilizer and pesticides. Now, can anyone say that Jumla is organic state? No. So now again, 2019, Jumla is going to transform whole province into organic, but there is no strict policy and guideline to go into the vision. So in the farmers' condition, the farmers, 80% of the farmers are still very small farmers, fragmented land, risk-bearing capacity is very poor, and subsistence farming is the dominant in this, and seasonal migration, climate change, vulnerability, and these indigenous crop cultivation are some additional constraints to organic agriculture. But we have great opportunities with the geography. This is the natural gift. We have a high mountain with forest and the slopey land and flatlands also. All different agroecological zones are the opportunities to go into organic, and their very minimum amount of inputs used, that is just 2.2 kg per hectare cropland is the use of organic pesticide and fertilizer. And the very good opportunity is that there is a very positive trend of increasing demand of organic products from different parts of the world, especially from North America and Europe. And we have many such varieties, such indigenous crops. They are hardy to cope with the minor problems. So in the way forward, what we can do is we have to actually identify the pocket areas. Now, this is the Karnali province. Karnali province, what Karnali province has done is they have clustered the area with red, where highly pesticide and fertilizer is used. And in between, the minimum use of pesticide and fertilizer is colored as yellow, and the green is the free of both chemicals. So accordingly, we can plan our product. From the food security point of view, red areas can be left as it is. Yellow area can be slowly converted into organic, and the green areas can be confined to organic and promote for that special with special commodities identified. So the ecosystem, education system, I think I don't have to speak more on organic agriculture should be included from the school level to the university level, and our graduates, if we can produce them as an entrepreneur of the agriculture, then this is a crazy idea. Just taking the reference of Vietnam and Brazil, Vietnam became the world's second producer of coffee in 10 years because they used army. Nepal has plenty of the people, army and such people, who can be used in agriculture. At least if they are if they can produce for themselves, that would be great. So and the last is we have to actually coordinate with research, extension, education. Yeah, my slide, right. So organic should be mapping, organic palika, and then declare based on the plotting. Then technology should be developed, taking reference of the area, and marketing part. So for this technology demonstration, input support, capacity building parts can be considered. Even for the organic marketing, sales outlet, branding, like we can brand for the Karnali province. Our previous secretary used to say that Karnali has 3++. One is organic, one is AI, GI, geographic indication, and another is they have already developed the Mullewan. Karnali itself is the Mullewan. So there are 3 opportunities. Similarly, this organic research and development is the most important part. The NAC and other research institute has to take it very seriously, and the human resource development of organic agriculture in the university and colleges. These 3 should go together in hand to hand. Then we can, I think, shape the indigenous technologies and the whole organic value of our country, not just for us, but for the whole universe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bhola Shrestha, for providing us some information of organic farming. The concept of organic farming is to produce crops without using any synthetic chemicals. We can use chemicals derived from the plant or other products, but not the chemicals on. And of course, organic farming has some advantage or benefit, because product derived from the organic farming does not have any residual effect because we are not using any chemicals. So there is no problem for the health hazards. Has the aquatic and save the biodiversity, finally improve the soil health. So the increasing trend is demanding actually, and we are expecting it goes around 75% by the 2025.
Yes.
So one challenge is the productivity, to keep the high productivity using organic farming. This is the one challenge. So to cope with the challenge, we need research. How can we keep the high productivity through organic farming. This is maybe the one things we can look forward for research. Thank you so much for presenting us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then our next presenter is Dr. Matina Joshi Baidhya, Director General, Department of Food Technology and Quality Control, Ministry of Agriculture, Nepal. And she is going to present on food safety and quality issues of fruits and vegetables in South and Southeast Asia.
Very good morning and namaste to dear all. As Session Chair Dr. Rezul Karim and the distinguished guests and the other all the participants from all over the Nepal and from different countries. So here I am, myself, Matina Joshi, from Department of Food Technology and Quality Control. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to present on the food safety and quality issues, which is one of the area that we have in Department of Food Technology and Quality Control has been implementing Food Act and Feed Act in Nepal. So it's my great pleasure to be here. So the topic given to me is food safety and quality issues of fruits and vegetables in South and Southeast Asia. I will be presenting more in context of Nepal because I don't have all the data from all over the South Asia and Southeast Asia. So firstly, let's talk about the importance of fruits and vegetables. As we all are aware that the fruits and vegetables are taken as the healthy food, and they are the very good source of vitamins, minerals, and bioactives, as well as the good source of fibers. And they are the low energy and the dense food. The main nutrients that are attributable to fruits and vegetables are mainly vitamin C and vitamin E, folate, selenium, zinc, and non-starch polysaccharides like gums, cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins, which is important for our bowel health. And the daily intake of 400 grams of fruits and vegetables in 5% is recommended by World Health Organization. And we Nepalese are very fond of vegetables. Mostly we eat lots of vegetables, and in season we also love to eat fruits. And nowadays we can see that the fruit eating culture is also developing. As you can see, a lot of fruit shops every corner of Kathmandu, which is the changes in food habits of Nepalese people. And a high intake of fruits and vegetables is positively associated with the prevention of cardiovascular diseases and cancer because of this presence of different active components, and also prevention of diabetes. Let's talk about food safety and food quality, because food safety is the assurance that food will not cause harm to consumer when it is prepared and or eaten according to its intended use. The main point is here is the intended use. If the fruits and vegetable is like we eat at restaurants, that should be free from pathogens. But when it is harvested at the farm level, it should be free from chemical contaminants. But we wash at home and then we cook it or eat as a salad. So the main important thing is intended use, and the food quality, whereas in the other hand is the totality of feature and characteristics of product that bear on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. Like it says that we first eat our food with our eyes. If it is appealing in color or texture, then only we eat. So food quality is the totality of features, and access to sufficient amount of safe and nutritious food is key to sustaining life and promoting good health. Here, our constitution has also stated that the safe and quality food, access to safe and quality food is one of the important criteria. And food can be a vehicle. However, this food that we eat for our health, good health, can be a source of a vehicle of disease transmission if contaminated with harmful microbes, chemicals, and toxins. That is why it is said that the food, if it is not safe, is not a food. We eat and next day we get, ill, like from food infection, food intoxication, and some of the toxins that can accumulate in our bodies and later on cause cancer and other problems. In the world, according to WHO data, an estimation of 600 million, about 1 in 10 people fall ill after eating contaminated food each year, resulting in 420,000 deaths per annum. So it's a very, that is why food safety is really important. And the food safety and food quality, versus food quality. Like we can say that the defects and improper food quality, we can see with our eyes, we can, with our sense, we can detect it quite easily, and the consumer rejects. But whereas food safety hazards may be hidden and go undetected. However, food safety hazards, if detected, for example, when we export our agriculture produce, now and then, because of the SPS issues, that consignments are rejected, and that results in the huge loss of economic loss and cost, and also the excess are excluded. And the developing country like Nepal and South Asia are now and then are facing these problems. And since food safety hazards directly affects public health and economies, achieving proper food safety must always take precedence over achieving high level of quality and attributes. So the pathogens that are most commonly associated with fruits and vegetables included Salmonella, Shigella, E. coli 0157, which is a very harmful strain of E. coli, Listeria, Campylobacter, and viruses like hepatitis A. But fortunately, mostly in South Asia, we cook food before we eat, but normally we eat hot foods. But sometimes when we go to restaurants, then we also jump into eating salads, and when we go to parties, and then we also eat the raw salads, and we get into trouble because of it is heavily contaminated with these kind of pathogens, because the irrigation water that are used are not proper. They are heavily contaminated. And the fruits and vegetables are prone to chemical contamination from a variety of sources, as we all know that during harvesting and during and also post-harvest conditions that can result from like a deliberate exposure, like use of pesticides, application, and sometimes unintentional exposures that also results from fungal contaminants like mycotoxins. And this picture is very popular one. Like you can say that the food sources, get these contaminations from vehicle emissions to industrial emissions and effluents, and also agriculture practices and sewages, which is one of the problem here in Kathmandu. The farms mostly use the water from the river sources are contaminated with sewage. That is why the salads or the raw vegetables are mostly contaminated with pathogens, and also use of pesticide in crops. And some of the crops are, if you look at the amount of pesticide used in Nepal is not much, only 350 grams per hectare, but still it is heavily contaminated. Fruits, especially fruits and vegetables, are found contaminated with pesticides. And during processing also a lot of additives are used, and during storage also they get the things are worsened. So the safety tools like good agriculture practices, good hygienic practices, and at the manufacturing level, good manufacturing practices, HACCP and ISO 22000 could be the the application that can make food safer. And lack of the proper post-harvest management knowledge in this area is, you can clearly see that the still farmers are using the traditional methods, and we have a heavy food waste, because fruits and vegetable, we have wastage of like 30% according to FAO's data, and for some of the crops it can go up to 50% level, and because of the its perishable nature, and lack of proper transport, storage, and post-harvesting facilities. And we have inadequate infrastructure, especially access to roads sometimes are not, we don't have, like we have lots of apples in Mustang, Jumla, and other high Himalayan districts, but still we don't have adequate access to road structures, and lack of organized market system is also one of the reason that that is also the food safety and quality is related, and lack of public awareness on food safety is nearly absent at the local level, and we'll need to work a lot on the creation of awareness on food safety at the farmers level, at the three tier of government, and for the political people and policy makers. And misuse of chemicals and fertilizers is in large. Professor Bhola sir has mentioned that the organic could be the one of the option for the soil health, but we are using a lot of chemical fertilizers, and our soil health is going down. And the lack of product standard for fresh fruits and vegetable, we still don't have we do have a standard for processed products, but we are lacking product standard for fresh fruits and vegetable, like grading and what qualities and characteristics it should have. And the criteria for the lack of process standards, what are the criteria for the way and method of products are made, are also lacking, especially for we can see that the fruit ripening, we still don't have proper working guidelines, what types of ripening agents can be used, and we still need to work a lot on these areas as well. Lack of traceability system, which is very important, from that if something goes wrong, then we don't have traceability system yet, and it is totally lacking. So this is also important. And the lack of government or private bodies that establish standards. Though DFTQC, Department of Food Technology and Quality Control, is also responsible for standard, but for fresh fruits and vegetable, we haven't started yet. And the National Food Control System, this is the model designed by Codex. As we can see, the food safety and control management system need to be, backbone is the legislation, legal infrastructure, legal framework, and we should be supported by the proper adequate inspection system and laboratory services. And information and education and communication is another area, another pillar for the proper food control system. Okay. So national food, so these are some of the guidelines, strategies, and policies. Like national, we do have National Food Safety and Policy and Agriculture Development Strategy 2015, which is a 20-year plan. And these talk about the legislative framework and infrastructure to ensure food risk-based quality control system and enhance self-regulation and food safety management system. And also the Agriculture Development Strategy talks about the enact of Modern Food Act with prescriptive rather than reactive. And these are the government of Nepal who are involved, like different ministries under the Ministry of Agriculture, different departments and institutions who are responsible for SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary things. And the Department of Food Technology and Quality Control, DFTQC, works with Codex. Okay. Can you change? Battery work, yeah. Slide change. Just stop working. Okay. So this is a glimpse of the Department of DFTQC, which has offices at province level. This is now upgraded to 8 offices at province with laboratory facilities. And we do have 12 custom points laboratory services and 22 division offices. And these are the food safety and quality related acts and policies. And these are the main provisions of Food Act. And in this, we have food licensing system for food industry, and the Food Act has also specified the power to specify the quality standards. And also authority to deal with offenses. These are the things. So process of food standard, like in other countries, we do have, task force prepares the drafts, and the codex is taken as the reference standards. And also the harmonization with international and regional standards. Based on this, it prepares. And the Food Standardization Committee, which is chaired by Secretary of Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, and it is represented by different stakeholders, then approves. And it is published in Gazette after approval from government of Nepal. And these are the national food standards. And you can see that the fruits and vegetable products, we do have for 17 types of different food commodities. And for fresh fruits and vegetables, we have standards for 10 types of fruits and vegetables. And the MRL, maximum residue level for pesticides for fruits and vegetables, based on codex is in cabinet for publication in Nepal Gazette. The national food standards, we do have for horizontal standards like food additives, food contaminants, and food leveling requirements also in place. And the maximum residue limits, I think I have already mentioned about it. And the pesticide residue prescribed for codex, you can see that there are 230 pesticides is covered. And for EU, it's about 700. 700 for US is 130, and for Nepal we are preparing for 175. That includes grains, pulses, and fruits and vegetables. So these are the MRLs that is included, which is in cabinet for different types of fruits and vegetables. And the good agriculture practice, as you know, that there is growing concern about the food quality and safety worldwide. And we have already heard from the previous speaker about the organic foods. But another area is the good agriculture practice with high production and productivity. If we can apply good agriculture practice, then that can fulfill the trade and regulatory requirement with the safe products. Especially that's good for export and also for niche market. And these are some of the status in BIMSTEC countries in here. Like we can say for India, they have INDIGAP. For Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, SAGAP is also in place for fruits and vegetable rice, and ASEAN GAP for ASEAN countries, Myanmar, Thailand. And we have a Nepal GAP scheme and certification system in place. And Nepal GAP scheme owner is the ministry itself, and this Nepal GAP scheme owner is the ministry, and we have standards for fruits and vegetable. And the Nepal GAP certification body, DFTQC department, is working as a certification body for Nepal GAP. And we are also under the department, we have National Food and Feed Reference Laboratory. With 26 commodities, we have accredited parameters, and these are the certificates from NABL India. And the laboratory strengthening plan of the department is that we started from 2012 as the first government food laboratory for accreditation with 27 chemical parameters. Now we are at this 2022, and we have applied for accreditation scheme for more than 250 parameters, and we are preparing for accreditation of the Biratnagar region, province level laboratory, and the Vairua lab is also preparing, and hopefully we will get accreditation for Biratnagar, which is also the hub for the tea and cardamom and Regional food import and export certification, we are also planning to strengthen it and establish labs in, we already have established lab in 2 provinces which we are lacking in past. And by 2025, we are planning to have 1 reference laboratory with world-class level equipments and accreditation of Biratnagar, Hetauda, and Bhola laboratories. So the local produce that are produced can get test reports and that will promote export of agriculture produce. So major gaps, like we have talked, existing food law unable to address food safety risks and challenges throughout the food chain, like because Food Act 1967 is pretty old, but still we are working, and we have a new Food Safety and Quality Act is in house, and hopefully by next with the new government formation, we'll have our new Food Safety and Quality Act will be there. And Food Act and regulation not defined comprehensive food safety design, lack of practicing internationally agreed principles like XPS and Codex practices at the farm level. We need to get more MRLs for contaminants and more focus on the food safety aspect. And the strengthening the risk-based inspection in the entire food chain is required, and modernization and upgradation of existing laboratories for extending scope for further accreditation and testing services of accredited private laboratories are yet to be legally recognized here in Nepal. Harmonization of standards and regulation with codex and regional and international standard is needed. And the priorities and way forward are like that. Updating the legislative framework, new food safety and standard acts is in parliament, and development of regulations, development of food standards. We need more food standards to be developed, and development of directives and guidelines. So, it will be more easier for farm level, laboratory strengthening and accreditation, both at the government and the private level, more for food safety from food safety aspects, and the promotion of Nepal Gap organic food in primary production, promotion and adoption of food safety management systems like GSP, GMP in food processing industries, and the capacity building and enabling environment of producers, traders, transporters, processors in order to implement the food safety management system like GAP, HACCP, GMP, and consumer education is one of the area where we need to train more our farmers, consumers, and also policymakers, making them aware. And here with this, I would like to end. Food, if not safe, is not a food. Food safety is everyone's business. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi, for comprehensive presentation or presenting us our information on food safety and quality. There is a statement, good food, good health. Good food means in terms of quality and in terms of safety. Quality indicates appearance, size, color, taste, sweetness, crispiness, and so on. So to produce the good food, we need or we want to keep those things quality. And safety concern, the presence of pesticide residual value, different agrochemicals used in crop production, including the plant growth regulators, heavy metal contamination. In South Asia countries, there are a lot of sources for this contamination. Due to the rapid urbanization, there is the industrial development. So many contaminate heavy metal come from the industrial waste product. Some from we are going to use sometimes the different composting materials. Those composting materials comes from the waste municipalities and other things. So these contains also sometimes the heavy metals. Other things, the pathogens, fungal and bacterial pathogens. As mentioned here, Salmonella, E. coli, and some aflatoxin present in this situation. And we are working a lot and we know many things, but we need to disseminate this knowledge to our growers. And we need the integrated approach to the total community to produce high quality with safety food. So thank you so much for presenting us. Thank you. So the next speaker is Dr. Kedar Devkota from Agricultural and Forestry University, Nepal. May I request you, sir? And his topic is pollination in horticultural crops with respect to production and human nutrition.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable PC, other delegates and participants. I would like to thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to present on pollination and horticulture crops with respect to production and human nutrition. Okay. This is my presentation outline, why pollination, economics value of pollination in agriculture and especially in horticulture, nutritional value of pollination in horticulture, pollination challenges in horticulture, pollination opportunities in horticulture, and the future research priorities. Here we can see the first green revolution delivered the enormous yield by using the happy chemical inputs to feed the increasing population. We need the second green revolution, which can meet our growing food demands. For that, we need the sustainable intensification with to manage the ecosystem services more effective manner. For this, basically there are some free ecosystem services that we can find in the environment. Among them, pollination is one of the major free inputs, which are one of the quickest, easiest, and the cheapest agriculture input to manage if we want to sustainably increase the crop production. Talking about the value of the pollination, especially we have these 5 valuation value for the pollination. While talking on the ecological value, 9 in every 10 wild flowering plants requires the pollinators. Likewise, 84% of the medicinal plants, they require the pollinators. Similarly, talking on the agriculture value, 75% of the crop plants rely on the pollination, and 1 in every 3 bites of the fruits we can acquire from the pollination services. Similarly, talking on the economics value, while talking on the global value of the economic pollination, 800 billion contribution of the pollination yearly, whereas in Nepalese context, when we talk about the Nepalese context, the contribution of pollination in the agricultural production is $477 million per year. Similarly, on nutritional value, the 40% of the vitamin A and 20% of the vitamin C will be acquired from the pollinator dependent crop. And likewise, 50% of the world diets of the fat and oils are fulfilled by the insect pollination. Similarly, for the cultural value, the beekeeping and medicine and the arts and ceremonies are regarded as the cultural value of the pollination. I'm especially going to focus on these 3 things: agricultural value, economic value, and nutritional value of the pollination aspects. First of all, talking about the economic value of the pollination, as I already mentioned that the value of pollination to the global context is $800 billion per year, which shows the vulnerability ratio with a maximum of 39% for the stimulant, that is coffee and coca, are the insect pollinator, 31% for the nuts, and 23% of the food in the world. As compared to the Nepalese context, when we come to the Nepalese context, the value of pollination to the Nepalese agriculture is $477 million per each year, and the vulnerability ratio of the pollination for the, especially for the horticulture crops, is maximum for the fruits, that is 38%, followed by the 30% for the vegetable in Nepalese context. This is the economic value of pollination in Nepalese context. And when you talk about the increasing reliance of the pollination, this is the graph from the developing world, and this is the graph from the developed world. What this shows is, in the year of the in 50 years, the pollinator reliant crops, the area for the pollination reliant crops has been increased, by the 300%. And this is the for the developing countries where the crop dependent upon pollinator services has been highly increased. And this is happening faster in lower income countries as their economy rely heavily on the cash crop. And in the Nepalese context, when we see the Nepalese context, in the last 10 years, when we see the graph, the pollinator dependent and non-dependent crop from the Nepalese data set, we found there is the 5-fold increase in the insect pollinated crop in the Nepal. And talking to the horticulture crops, I just want to focus on this yield. This is the real effects of the pollination on the yield of the apple, and likewise in the strawberry, and this is on the bitter gourds. And here we can see some pollinator differences, pollination deficits in the bitter gourd. The work was carried out in the Chittagong district in the year 2020, and this shows that there is the really pollination deficit in the horticulture crop in the Chittagong district. And what would be the what will happen if the pollinator loss? Then there will be the decrease in the fruit supplies by the 23%. If the pollinator will be lost from this world, then there will be the global fruit supplies will be reduced by the 23%. Vegetable supply will be reduced by the 16%. Nuts and seed supply will be reduced by the 22%. This is the study done by Smith, and it was already published in the Lancet journal. And talking to the Nepalese context, what we have found is over 76 different crops are cultivated in Nepal. Among them, 74% of the crop needs the insect pollinators. That is ranging from the essential to the very little. And whereas 26% of the crops did not depend on the pollinator for the production. And this data set was taken from the MOALT 2018. And that's we have derived this figure. And this figure, so there is a sharp increase in the highly pollinator dependent crop in the Nepalese context. And also the economic value from the 10 years, there is the 5-fold increase. In the year 2005, it was only 80 millions, whereas in the year 2018, it was 477 millions. This shows there is the high impact or influence of the pollinator dependent crop in the Nepalese economic context. When we talk about the crop, these are the crop that we have listed as the pollinator dependent crops. 5 crops, they are highly essential. 16 crops, they are the great dependence. 15 crops, they are the modest dependence, and the 17 crops, they have the little dependency, whereas 18 crops, they didn't increase the production, whereas 5 crops, they need the pollinator for the seed production. And these are the horticulture crops. We can see here the pollinator dependency, like bitter gourd, kiwi, pumpkin, snake gourd, sponge gourd, watermelon. They are the highly pollinator dependent, means 95% of the yield increment will be done by the insect pollination. We can see, and almost 5 crops, 16 and 15, that means 36 crops are the essential horticulture crops that rely on the insect pollination in Nepalese context. Here we can see the pollinator non-dependent and mode of the pollination dependent, pollinator dependent, and the vegetable and fruits, they have the 33.96% dependency of the vegetable and pollinators. Likewise, in Nepal, 33.96% of the fruits, they are depend on the pollination. And this shows that there is the high importance of pollination for the production of the horticultural crop, especially vegetable and fruits. And also we can see here the economic value of the insect pollination. What is the economic value of insect pollination? This shows that the vegetables, they are highly reliant on insect pollination, and that really contribute to the economics to the farmers from this production. And likewise, we have tried to differentiate here based on the dependence on the pollinators, and this shows that the fruits, they have the vegetables, they have the very high importance on the pollination, followed by the fruits, oil seeds, and spices. This is the area in hectare. We can see how much the farmers, they cultivated the particular groups of the crops, beverage, cash crops, cereals, fruits, and here we can see the economic value of the insect pollination. And this is the same vegetable, fruits, and oil seed, also the cereals, that is buckwheat, pseudo cereals, they are the highly pollinator dependent. And now talking about the nutritional value of the pollination in horticulture, is different fruits and vegetables have potentially 100 of the different plants compounds that are beneficial to the health. And a diet rich in vegetable and fruits supplies, especially lower blood, can lower the blood pressure, reduce the risks of the heart disease and stroke, prevent some types of the cancer, lower the risks of eyes and digestive problem, have a positive effect upon the blood pressure. This is the nutritional value of the horticulture crops. What will happen if the pollinator loss? Horticulture crop provide many key micronutrients to the human diets and are also the highly pollinator dependent. And so if we lost the pollinator, what will happen? The yields of this nutritious crop will go down, and we will consume the less of these important nutrients, and they will have a negative effects on the human health. And this is the what we are working on nowadays. And when we talk about the nutritional value of some crops, that is more than 40% of the global vitamin A production and 20% of the vitamin C production was done by these fruits and vegetables, especially horticulture crops. They are attributed to the animal pollination. Likewise, this is the very interesting paper that we have followed. Effect of the decrease of animal pollinators on human nutrition and global health. A modeling analysis, what it shows, what will happen. Here is the China, India, and the Russia. This is the disability adjusted life year. That is the lack of the healthy life. The China, I think 8 millions of the people, they will in year, they will lose their healthy life if there is the no pollination that cause the nutritional deficit to the population. Likewise, if you talk about the death, 400,000 people will die if the pollination will be lost. And the loss of the pollination will ultimately cause the nutritional deficits, and that will lead to the death of 400,000 people in China, followed by the India and Russia. If we see the Southeast Asian context, here we can see the Southeast Asian context, about 2 million people will become disabled from the lack of the nutrition. Similarly, we can see here in the Southeast context, around 100,000 of the people will die lack of the nutritional aspect from what will happen? Complete pollinator loss will result in an extra 71 people deficit in vitamin E. If the pollinator will loss, then 71 million people deficient in the vitamin E, an extra 173 million people deficit in foliates and disability adjusted life year. This is the some China, India, Russia. This is the categorization, and this is the overall 27 million people per year will have a disability adjusted life year. Whereas talking to the death, 1.4 million death each year will be occurred if the pollinator will be lost. And this is the from the Nepalese context. We try to do about the pollinator dependent production and total production. And among these, the alpha carotene, the nutritional value of pollination in Nepal from the pollinator dependent crops is very high for the alpha carotene, vitamin A, followed by the beta carotene, vitamin C. In here, we can also find some carbohydrate from the pollinator dependent crops. And these are the some crops which are especially grown in the small marginalized land by the small landholding farmers. And similarly, talking about the plant-based nutrient production in Nepal, especially from the horticulture aspects, here this dark green shows the horticulture pollinator dependent crops, whereas this light green shows the horticulture not dependent pollinator crops, whereas and other crops, these are the some other crops, this dark red and this pink color is not pollinator. This shows that the alpha carotene, we can find the alpha carotene from the highly pollinator dependent crops. Okay, fine. Horticulture pollination in challenges, no long-term monitoring data in pollination in Nepal, but there are some worrying indicators of the decline. Evidence of decline in pollinator number reports from the apple. Yesterday also I discussed in the discussion that there is some mismatch between the pollinator behaviors and the flowering pattern of the apple. And what are the drivers? Especially there are the 4 drivers for the pollinator decline. One is the habitat loss, another one is the pesticides, another one is the parasites and disease and climate change. And this is the special consequences of pollinator loss in the Nepal. What will happen? In Nepalese context, around 605 people will lose their life if the pollinator will decline. The decline of the pollinator ultimately causes to the nutritional deficiency, and that will lead to the death of the 605 people from the Nepal. This is the facts about the pollination deficit in the nutritional context. And the smallholder farmers are likely to be more affected in Nepalese context. They are highly reliant on nutrient from the pollinator dependent crops and have a very little flexibility to change the farming practice or obtain the foods for elsewhere. And pollination opportunities, these are all the paid one. Water, agrochemical, labor, fertilizer, seed, we have to pay. But the pollination is the free services that nature is providing for us in order to increase the crop production. What is the opportunities? The pollination is one of the cheapest and easiest. that I have already mentioned. That's why it has the no major investment or expensive technology is required. We don't need the expenses on the pollination. And similarly, highly accessible to all level of the agriculture, from the intensive commercial to the subsistence farming. Economic return are the fast and ongoing and can be used. There's some of the research they have shown that there are the yield increment by the 300% if the pollinator are present in the fields. And similarly, complement all other ecological farming approaches, like we already listen about the presentation on organic, ecological intensification, and IPPM. This is integrated pest and pollination management. And for these opportunities, we should have these three inputs, especially that is research, generation of knowledge and information to inform the management. Because no research in my context, since I'm working from the 2010, few research has been carried out in the pollination in Nepalese context. So generation of the knowledge and information to inform the management, education of the farmers, outreach and extension services, and policy. We should need the policy for the pollination management practices to facilitate the uptake of management actions and regulate the risk factors. Okay, and there is another opportunities for Nepal, because we all are small landholding, and this is the figure. This is especially from the paper Mutually Beneficial Pollinator Diversity and Crop Yield Outcomes in Small and Large Farm. I'm also the co-author of this paper, and this shows that if we increase the flower visitors, that is the pollinator density in the fields, there will be pollinator increment. There is the yield increment by the 24% in the small holding. That's why in case of the small land holding, the pollination has the greater importance for the crop production. Similarly, for the apple, we can see there is an opportunities for the apple and citrus also in the Nepalese context, because they are the highly valuable crops in Nepal context. And these are the some effects research carried out in the Pakistan. This shows the some findings, and this is the future research priorities, what we can do for the pollination. Understand more about our nutritional reliance in the pollinator dependent crops. That I have already shown that I have listed some nutritional aspects that we can find from this one. That we can find from the pollinator dependent crop. Identify the key pollinators of the fruits and vegetables. This is the very essential things that we should have to do. What are the major pollinators of the major pollinator dependent crops? We need to find out that. Identify pollination management options for fruit and vegetables. What could be the pollination options? If the pollinator will be decline, what is the options? There may be a beekeeping or some habitat management like that. And mainstream pollination management into horticulture farming. And that is the farmer education, maybe farmer field school or some other aspects. And capacity building and policy change to embed sustainable pollination management into Nepalese agriculture. These are the some future research priorities that we can carry it out for this. And we have done very pilot work on the micropool project and Darwin initiative project, especially. And thank you very much. And I will especially acknowledge my co-authors, because I have already submitted this paper for the publication, and all the helping hands. And these are the beautiful creatures of this world. They are the pollinators. Our aim is to conserve the pollinator and manage them for the crop production. Thank you.
Thank you, Devkota, Dr. Devkota from AAFU. The pollination, the importance of pollination is indispensable. No pollination, no fruit, no fruit, no food, no food, no life. So pollination is very much important in the crop production system, and especially for the horticultural crops is very important. And for the cross-pollinated crops, it's the very much essential is the insect. So Dr. Devkota mentioned one thing, the insect pollinator is free. So no free service, no value for free service. So there is still very small research in the pollination sector, especially on nutritional presence or impact of nutritional quality. So far I know there are a few research in advanced country with almonds in California almonds. They found the omega-9 fatty acid and the ratio between omega-3 and omega-6. These are very two important fatty acids, which are very much related to reduce the cardiovascular disease as well as cancer. So I think it would be the great research opportunity in the future health of the human being. Thank you so much. Shall I conclude this one? So with this pivot, I'd like to close this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all the speaker, for this wonderful presentation. And now we'll move forward for the group discussion, and the rapporteurs will lead the discussion. And for this technical session, Parmila Wagle, Vishal Shrestha, and Lal Bahadur Chetri will play the role of the rapporteurs. And there is also change a bit in the list of the participants in different groups. In first group, we have Mrs. Bimala Acharya, Mr. Madhav Lamsal, Mrs. Riti Singh, Dr. Bhaneshwar Pokhrel, Mr. Shashank Devkota, Mr. Ram Bahadur Keshi, Mrs. Anju Adhikari, Professor Dr. William Vance Baird, Professor Dr. Tamanna Haq, Mrs. Nuru Nahar Begum, Mrs. Morzina Begum, and Ms. Swastika Shrestha. For group, we have Mr. Dhanbahadur Thapa, Ms. Rita Bastakoti, Mr. Ramhari Timilsina, Dr. Kalika Prasad Upadhyay, Mr. Sushil Ghimire, Dr. Santosh Shrestha, Dr. Narayan Khanal, Mrs. Parmila Wagle, Professor Dr. Nanda Prakash Joshi, Dr. Janelle Beth Larson, Dr. Umesh Asare, Dr. Gangadatta Acharya, and Mr. Ram Krishna Neupane. And for group 3, we have Professor Dr. Kalyani Mishra Tripathi, Dr. Sundar Tiwari, Dr. Pushpa Paudel, Mr. Manoj Dhital, Dr. Purushottam Khatioda, Professor Dr. Durga Devkota, Dr. Hari Krishna Panta, Mr. Krishna Sapkota, Mr. Nitesh Kumar Pokhrel, Professor Dr. Elizabeth Mecham, Dr. Nasreen Sultana, Dr. Fardosh Islam, and Ms. Srishti Chaudhary. And I will request all the reporters to facilitate this discussion session. Thank you.
Yes. Pollination bisa kalau main. Ada apa gitu? Extra. Apa saja kalau melera. धेरै पहिला चाहिँ किन्नमा म चाहिँ भानु पोखरेल मेरो मेरो विषय पनि तपाईले आज प्रिन्ट गरेको विषय म चाहिँ ए सर पुरा सर है त सर भानु पोखरेल राम्रो पार्टी हो खै धेरै अगाडि
Everyone sitting here. No, no. Good morning. Good morning.
होइन त्यो भन्दा 2003 फर्स्ट अर्गानिक क्रप ट्रेनिङ हो त्यसको चाहिँ म प्रशिक्षक विद्यार्थी त्यो बेला सर्नमा त्यो बेला अनि आज मेरो चाहिँ अर्गानिक आइटम मैले हिजो चाहिँ के अरे पोर्ट्रेट गरेँ साथी अहिले म माडीबाट माडी प्राङ्गारी कृषि फार्म पारी भन्ने भित्रमा 20 बिघामा अर्गानिक प्र्याक्टिस चाहिँ मेरो 5 बिघामा चाहिँ अर्गानिक प्र्याक्टिस जस्तो गाई भैँसी बाख्रा कुखुरा हाँस अन्न त्यसले अर्गानिक मल यस्तै सबै ट्रेनिङहरू अर्गानिकको ट्रेनिङहरू
Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to request you all to do your registration on the registration desk.
Number
98491942
Okay. Yeah. Time हुँदैन start. Time हुँदैन पहिला Okay. Yeah.
Let's discuss about challenges and constantly organic farming. Especially that are not addressed in our policies or something.
Work that can be done by help of this project.
Okay, maybe first we discuss. Maybe we start first what points are missing We have to point out what we think the opportunity and especially the challenges and what we should make some solution options. We start discussion on that. Do you have any idea? Maybe start Vimalaji? Maybe you said what is organic? Yeah. What you face the challenges from the farmer's eyes.
How could it be farmers friendly? Organic horticulture. How could it be farmers friendly?
And I would like to welcome a very special person. She is the student from Agriculture and Forest University, and she was selected from the Youth Innovation Workshop, which was conducted in Chitwan, Nepal. And she is here to present the selected innovation idea from the Youth Innovation Workshop. Please help me to welcome Ms. Swastika Shrestha.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. I am Swastika Shrestha, an undergraduate in Agriculture and Forestry University in Rampur, Chitwan, and I'm very humbled to be on here and speak on my topic, which is very close to my heart, that is plastic mulching under circular horticulture. So before diving right into the PPT about what is circular horticulture, let me explain you where this term comes from. So this term comes from circular economy. What is circular economy? So we all have this plastic tag in our with us, right? So this plastic tag has been produced by using some resources from the nature, and after using for 3 consecutive days, we are going to throw this in the dustbin maybe the following night. So this is called the use and throw concept is the linear concept, while the circular economic concept is about using this plastic, rethinking about designing this plastic in a way that we can use this product again and again till so that we do not produce any waste in the environment. So circular economic concept is about using the materials, but not the materials are not used up here. So how to achieve this? For this, we focus major on development or designing of superior products, superior process and systems that will have zero effect on the environment, with the 4 components, that is reducing, reusing, recycling, and recovering. Now, what is circular horticulture? So we have so many resources in the horticulture sector as well. For example, water, nutrients, fertilizers, crop residues, growing media, and not to forget the mulching plastics. And circular horticulture focuses on circulation of these resources and also high use efficiency of them without hampering the environment. Now, why did I really choose this plastic mulch in the horticulture sector? There are evidences that the plastic mulches are being increasingly used in the horticulture sector. The examples being we have evidences that increases the yield through the use of plastic mulches. Surely we cannot really avoid plastic mulches or plastic in horticulture, but this is why we have been using plastic mulches in a very dramatic increased level. Besides that, we have been promoting commercial agriculture and organic agriculture in such a rate that the marketing has shown plastic culture as only the modified and scientific method of farming in today's date. So these are some pictures or evidences that shows that farmers are equally involved in plastic mulching. Also, the mainstream media has been promoting the plastic mulches in a different level. But now we have a twist here. Horticulture is also creating plastic mulch pollution. These pictures depict the pile up of plastic mulches discarded, and the left and the right one depicts the plastic mulches burned somewhere near or far from the field. This is the case in India, where you can see here 65% of farmers have been disposing the plastic mulches in agricultural lands or the outside road, and only few people are recycling it. And you can see here similar studies have found vegetables contaminated with microplastic. So microplastic has always been a topic of food nutritionists and also soil scientists. Now it has also been a topic of horticulture as well, and horticulture community cannot deny that. This is the case from Bangladesh, where you can see here, MP means microplastics. Microplastics should be treated as a future threat to food safety and sustainable agriculture. So here rise question like, why is mulching a problem? Why only mulching is a problem? Here are some technical facts for it. Number one is that mulch films are the second largest use of plastic films in the agriculture sector. And in the agriculture plastics, from among the agriculture plastic, mulching films are the second largest. We use it in the second largest amount. Also, the plastic mulches are petroleum-based plastics. That means we are looking for the non-renewable resources. And the plastic mulches that we use is low-density polyethylene, which are very fragile as well as very difficult to recycle. And also the frequent need of pickup and the disposal of the plastic mulches at the end of every crop season represents that with that the accumulation of plastic mulching will always be increasing. Now, also besides that we also have the non-photodegradable plastic mulches that get broken down into pieces in the soil and remain there. And also the burned plastics emit toxic substances which releases greenhouse emissions also. And the interesting fact here is that in a study done in 1996, the contamination level of the plastic mulches was already 36%. Now you can think of the contamination level of the plastic mulches in today's condition, in today's scenario. And it gets worse in Nepal because there are two conditions. Number one, that we don't have any data or any studies, not like any, but very few studies done in the agriculture plastic sector. And the farmers here are not really interested in plastic, safe disposal of the plastic. So my question is here, while we have been talking for the past few days about productivity, about different technical terms in horticulture, why should plastic pollution should be a topic of concern for this table? So my answer is it should definitely be a topic for this table, because as we are discussing a theme of food security, we're talking about nutrition, we cannot really plant or grow our fruits and vegetables without imagining soil. While FAO says that soil are one of the main receptors of agricultural plastics and are known to contain larger quantities than the oceans, we cannot really deny this fact as well. Also, a study done by Chinese Academy of Agricultural Science have shown that when the volume of plastic debris get accumulated in the soil, there is decrease in the yield, on height and root weight. Also, the chemistry and the structure and the chemistry of soil gets altered. And why in Asia? Because Asia is the largest producer of the plastic waste. Also, not to forget that it produces almost half of the global usage, and this demand is definitely anticipated to rise in the coming future. Now, enough of all the problems. Let's go to solutions. So, could we really design a circular economy for plastic mulch in Nepal that is locally suitable, that starts on a small scale, and also it can be replicable with slight modifications in different parts of the country, and also that it is self-sustaining, that it does not need any further foreign interventions? The answer is yes. And for that, we need to see these 6 principles, which is reduce, redesign, remove, reuse, recycle, and recover. Let me quickly revise you what is circular economy at first. Circular economy not just thinks about recycle and reuse after the product has been designed, but before the designing of the product, even before we initiate designing of the product, we look for the ways how we can minimize the use of the raw resources. So here are some approaches that I find might be helpful in forward. So number one is reducing the raw materials of plastic by using the cover crops and mulches. Why? Because Number one is that it eliminates the need of purchasing the films. Number two is locally available that we have been talking for so many time. And also examples lentil, chickpea, field pea. These are the examples that are locally found in our sector, in our area. And there has been a research that says winter cover crops that which is converted into dead mulches in spring can reduce the weed infestation in the tomato crops. There are still so many researches to be done, yet this is a good start to look forward to. And next is, that was the before designing part. Now when we come to the designing part, we definitely know we cannot really go, horticulture cannot really go without plastic. We need plastic in so many areas and technologies, yet but we can really design such plastics which can circulate in the system, like not just with single use, but they can circulate. So for that, number one is that we have to, for the particularly plastic mulch, we need to increase the thickness of the film. So there's a data that shows that shows with the increment of the film gauge of the thickness, the rate of retrieval from the field also gets increased. And a good note to start on that is that government of Nepal has recently banned any manufacturer importing and use of the plastics which are below 40 microns. And this is why it is a opportunity for home domestic companies to come forward with this solution. Also, when we talk about redesigning plastic mulching, we cannot really forget about biodegradable plastics. For those who do not know what is really biodegradable plastic, they are the plastic that are made from fossil based or bio based or both based, but they can be broken down naturally by microorganisms, and they can be broken down into water, biomass, and gases. And many polymers have been developed, such as polylactic acid (PLA), polyhydroxyalkanoids (PHA), and these are the biodegradable polymers which are which have the potential to replace the regular polymers that we use, that is polyethylene. And also this research that says we can really extract a biodegradable film from the potato starch. It's from Nepal, so maybe we can collaborate with the other sectors as well to combat this problem. But here is the point that we have to note, that biodegradation plastics are not to be promoted soon because we still need to assess its long-term impact on soil. And now, after we have designed the plastics, now we go for the consumption phase. In the consumption phase, we take care that we should take care. We can take care about the contamination. As I said earlier, that in 1996, the contamination of plastic mulch was already 36%. But what we find is, for effective recycling, the contamination percent must be below 5%. So maybe IPM could be one of very major, when IPM is put in the perspective of circular economy for the plastic mulch, we could amplify the effects of we can amplify the I'm sorry, we could decrease the contamination level in the plastic mulch. We could also develop guidelines for farmers to reduce contamination of soil, fertilizers, and pesticides to keep the plastic mulches clean. Now, the main part of the recycling of this circular economy for the plastic is that the collection. Because without collection, we cannot really go further with the recycling, reuse, or recover. And for this, and many farmers are not really interested in the collection. They would opt for options like landfill sites or the burning. So there should be some incentives for farmers for that. And also the nationwide agriculture colleges that have been established in the country maybe could play as a hub for the youth to innovate and drill down IT ideas which could be used to collect the plastic mulches from the farms in the communities. Then we have recycling part, which is the difficult part, and I don't want to focus it on more because Number one is that recycling in plastic mulches is very difficult because of the contamination, and also it needs collaborative international efforts to bring the technologies down in the field. So what we can do from the policy level is that extended producer responsibility, which basically gives the producer, who is the main person or the main stakeholder to produce either good one, either recyclable films or the unrecyclable films. This would be the responsibility of the recycling program also. After all the recycling, with all the plastic which remain after recycling, those are fit for the oil production. In Austria, there is a pilot plant which produces 100 liters of crude oil from 100 kilograms of plastic waste every hour. And but maybe in Nepal we could also opt for this one, where we could use the recycled plastics to the construction works areas. So at the end, in the conclusion, I would like to state a statement which amplifies the plastic mulch pollution urgency in this region and from this horticulture community, that FAO has already mentioned plastic mulchings as one of the agricultural plastics which cause environment harm, and also that this agricultural plastic residues are really threatening the food security. And also for the argument that how can we only survive on the circular economy or only in the environment, how not about the financial thing also. Here's the statement that the United States Conference for Trade and Development estimates that applying circular economy principles in the agriculture sectors in the food system could create a amount of $61 billion in 2050. This implies that we have to be patient with the circular economy implementation, but not with the innovation. At the end, as we are all here, and everyone is senior to me also, everyone holds a very powerful position in directing the horticulture community or development. I would like to question, hopefully by God's grace, I hope I would live for 15 more years in this earth. And how so a question to all of the dignitaries here is that what are you preparing as guardians of horticulture to feed us? Is it microplastics and nanoplastics or the nutritious food and fruits? That's it from Tech. Thanks so much for the listening.
Thank you, Ms. Swastika Shrestha, for this wonderful presentation. If you have any suggestion and question for Ms. Swastika, you can ask during our discussion session. And I think we should move forward